Hello and welcome to week 5 of the Futures Focus, our weekly $50 betting play on the Spring Group 1s. As we said, we've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. The plan is $50 to spend per week looking at the big Spring Group 1s to get to the race days, hopefully locking in some overs, having something to cheer, and of course, ideally getting a few nice collects. Looking back on the weekend, and it wasn't diabolical, but it probably wasn't our strongest week so far for the futures. Couple of first up runs by Port Goulorme and Dashing Willoughby in the Fian Stakes and the Wyong Cup last Friday. They weren't the greatest of runs. Not panic stations with them yet. I mean, I still recall Almandon running not overly well, it's probably fair to say, either at Flemington in August or at Moonee Valley in September, the year that he won the Melbourne Cup. So not panic stations at all, but I would like to see a little bit better from them at the next time at the track. The ones that I was probably a bit flat about are the two horses that I would like to back but just haven't yet. I said earlier in week 1 of this series that I think the $4.60 for Animo in the Golden Rose is a genuine gift. Well, I was hoping to hold off backing Animo in the Golden Rose, hoping that a couple of 3-year-olds that were stepping out would stamp their credentials and look like a challenger, meaning he would get out in the market. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. He's now $3.50 without having even ran. Now, you could make an argument to say this week's $50 could go on to Animo to win the Golden Rose because he'll win this weekend. There's no doubt about that in my mind. He'll win the run to the Rose and probably jump a $2 chance or even shorter in the Golden Rose. So for mine, the $3.50 might still be overs, but probably a little bit short even for myself. And the other one is Zaki. I did say earlier in this that the only two Australian trained horses I can see winning the Cox Plate are Very Elegant and Zaki. Now we're on Very Elegant. I was hoping that Zaki ran a little bit more like a stayer resuming first up, but instead he ran like bloody far lap crossed with Wink. So he's now $2.80. We're not going to get good odds about him. So I'm just going to keep backing Very Elegant. And it looks like Zaki might be the one to save on the day. Although I do still think, considering he only beat Arameo, there are some genuine questions out around his form. And when you look at who's finished behind him, I'm not saying he can't win the Cox Plate. He looks a superstar. But more odds for Very Elegant to place looks a great bet compared to Zaki to win in the Cox Plate. Anyway, enough about the horses we haven't backed. Let's get on to this week. And the first horse I want to be with is Argentia. This horse, I'm going to have $15 on to win the 1,000 guineas at $8, and that is genuinely across the board. You can find that with Tad, Ladbrokes, PointsBet, SportsBet, Bluebet, ZBet, PalmerBet, you name it, they've got it. Regally bred, she shot straight into 1,000 guineas calculations. After a debut win down at the Flemington Straight in June, she was put away from that. She resumed on the weekend in the listed Atlantic Jewel off a trial win, and they absolutely crunched her. She started the $2.90 favourite. And unfortunately for people who jumped on the weekend, it was her stablemate Zuzarella, who was a massive drifter in the market, who got the chocolates. Now, on face value, it was a disappointing run from Argentia. However, she was crowded for room, clearly, and she did pull up lame from that run. So clear excuses there. Now, I'm not saying Zuzarella can't win the 1,000 guineas. She obviously looks a pretty promising prospect, unbeaten from 2 starts. But I'm just going to follow the market trend. I think the way that they backed her, Argentia, that is, I'm keen to be with her in the 1,000 guineas. I still think if they get there and they both have even luck, I'd rather be with Argentia. So I'm backing her there at $8. Now, any of the Sydney fillies, and I'm including Najmati in this, who we've already backed, they could come down and win. I think they've shown that they're a pretty even bunch, and with the 10 days now between the Flight Stakes and the 1,000 guineas, they're all a chance of coming down. So wouldn't talk you out of any of them. It just depends which ones we can actually work out are coming down to Melbourne or not. So from the Melbourne-based, I think Zuzarella and Argentia are clearly the two that are stablemates, and at the moment, I'm going to be with Argentia. The next bet I'm looking at, speaking of stablemates, horses in the same colours from the same stable with the same sire, both looking at them from a Victorian Derby perspective. The first one is Forget You. I'm going to have $12.50 to win the Victoria Derby at $15. Now that's with Tab, PointsBet or Bluebet. Now this horse, we saw it was a really nice win at Moonee Valley on Saturday, running down the pretty handy Sandy Prince, who looked all over a winner with about 150 to go. This horse looked to be gone with 600 to go. It was getting passed by other horses, but the further they went, the better it got. Clearly the hot tempo of the race suited it, and it just looks like a horse who's going to be clearly suited by further. That makes sense, obviously being by Savabeel. The stable thought enough to take into the Group 2 VRC size and the Group 3 Value in the autumn in Sydney. So obviously they always had an opinion of him, but no surprise to me that his first career win came when stepping out to a mile. I don't think he's going to be competitive in races like the Caulfield Guineas, but I just think he's in the right stable. He's got the right breeding to be a strong contender for the 2,500 metre Victoria Derby. I want to be with him. As I said, $12.50 at $15. His stablemate, Footlights. Now, this horse, again, as I said, everything very similar. I'm having $12.50 also to win the Derby, this time at $26, and that's with the tab and with Blue Bet. Now, same stable, same colours, same sire, as I said. Didn't run in Saturday grade last start and was actually beaten at Cranbourne in what was a benchmark 64. Now, that might not read great form for a Group 1 Victoria Derby, but there was so much merit to this run. Off an impressive debut win, jumped a $2.10 favourite against the older horses. Now, they're clearly not superstars that he was racing against, but they are the older horses nonetheless. He nearly fell at the top of the straight, and then for him to pick himself up, balance back up again, get going late and run into second, I thought was a great effort. So to do that at just his second start, over 1,600, again, right stable, right colours, right sire to be able to run out the Derby. In fact, if you made me choose between the two, I would probably be backing this bloke ahead of Forgot You for the Derby. So the fact he's 26, more than happy to be on. Footlights, $25.50 at $26. Finally, the last horse we're backing for this week is Dosh. Now, this horse, if we recall, was a bit of a boom horse during the autumn. She was withdrawn from the Blue Diamond in the week leading up to it on vet's advice. Now, she won down the Flemington Straight on debut. That was during Cup Week. She then went and won a Blue Diamond preview at her next start. And the horse that finished 4.45 lengths behind her, Vivienne, that's the horse that finished runner-up to Argentia on debut. So the form sort of all ties in there. I'm having $10 on Dosh to win the Coolmore Stud Stakes at $26. That's available with Ladbrokes, Sportsbet and Palmerbet. Now, she's unbeaten from 2 starts, both at Group 3 level, so that clearly shows her ability. But what makes me so interested about this horse are the whispers, the rumours and the innuendo that were going around about her in the lead up to the Blue Diamond. So many people wanted to tell you how good she was, whether it be text, calls, social media, you name it. And people were saying she would have walked in the Blue Diamond had she have gone there. Now, obviously in the racing industry, these types of rumours and innuendo aren't uncommon, but this was particularly strong. And I just think at $26 right now for the Coolmore, I want to be with her and have $10 on her in case the price goes. She is nominated for the Cap Don-Teeb Stakes at Flemington this weekend. That will be her first up run. That's the same race September Run won last year and then went on, obviously, to beat the boys in the Coolmore. So, as I said, I'm taking the $26 now because if she does run well this weekend or even win, we know she handles the Flemington Straight. She's won there already. We won't be getting the $26 again. And as I said, I'm just so wary and curious about all that rumour and innuendo. Might prove to be nothing, but for $10, more than happy to find out. Anyway, that's our play for this weekend. We've got the 3 or the 4 horses there. Really excited about it. The great racing is in the air. So, of course, feel free to go and look at all our futures. And for analysis, tips, previews, and more, as always, head on to punters.com.au.